You're sad. You're so sad, and there's no need to be.
My sister's psychic.
She wants you to know. I've seen her, and she wants you to know that she's happy. I've seen your little girl sitting between you and your husband, and she was laughing. Yes. Oh, yes, she's with you. She's with you, my dear.
Don't Look Now is a 1973 horror drama thriller that's directed by Nicolas Roeg. So Don't Look Now is obviously a patron poll winner, but this is a film that I've been meaning to watch for quite some time now. I mean, I've heard so many great things about Nicolas Roeg as a filmmaker, and I've just never seen any of his films. So for just that reason alone, I've been really drawn towards this film, and I've been really trying to convince myself that I need to get around to watching it. But even other than that, this is a well-renowned, cult classic thriller horror type film, and as someone who is a huge fan of horror, this is a film that obviously caught my eye and has been on my radar for quite some time. And even beyond that, I heard that this was a huge inspiration for Ari Aster's Hereditary, and I believe he mentioned this in an interview where he talks about, his biggest influences. He mentioned that Don't Look Now was a huge influence into the way he crafted Hereditary. And obviously that's another huge reason why I was really, really eager to check this film out, because I am in love with Ari Aster's film so far. Hereditary, which is his directorial debut, I fell in love with that film. That film is really traumatizing, but in the best way possible. And it's just a really effective horror film. And even Midsommar is fantastic. I really love that film. Obviously, I got Midsommar shit everywhere. But, so, with all that being taken into consideration, this is a film that I obviously am going to naturally have high expectations for. So sometimes when you have really high expectations, it's really easy for a film to kind of let you down. And I gotta tell you guys, I actually really dug this film a lot. And I can definitely see where Ari Aster pulled inspiration from in regards to this film. Because I feel like both Hereditary and Don't Look Now both deal with similar themes in regards to determinism, which is essentially the philosophical idea that your life is beyond your own control. And even with the afterlife, and also when it comes to dealing with the traumatic death of a loved one. But please go into this film knowing that Hereditary and Don't Look Now are completely different films with very different creative approaches. Because don't get me wrong, it's quite amazing to see how influential Don't Look Now was to Hereditary. But to me, what's even more astonishing is how different these films actually are. Because the personality behind the camera with Don't Look Now is so incredibly apparent. And it's just, I love seeing films where the filmmaker has a lot of freedom to express their creativity. And Don't Look Now is definitely a film that meets that standard. Because this film is absolutely loaded with unconventional editing choices that are there mostly to reveal narrative information or thematic information, or sometimes even both. For instance, the shot of the church that shows the main character's blood kind of flowing across it, that's also kind of woven in and out of the film through certain editing choices, to me served as both foreshadowing and as symbolism. And it is an excellent shot, by the way. It's certainly a beautiful yet unsettling piece of imagery for sure. And there's also a sex scene in this film that's edited in a way that I've never seen a sex scene edited before. And it makes the scene feel all more purposeful for the film. I feel like if you just took that scene out, the film wouldn't have as much of an impact as it does. And some people may disagree with that, but the way that it's edited together in this weird differential lapse of time, I thought was really creative and, again, just felt really purposeful for what the film was going for in terms of theme and what it was trying to convey about the story and the characters. And it's a rather long sex scene too, and I was just impressed to see a sex scene go on for so long that I didn't feel was completely unnecessary or just felt cringy after a while. And in many ways, I actually consider this film to be quite interpretive and a bit abstract. I mean, it's not as out there as some David Lynch films to where it just becomes too difficult of a task to try and like wrap your head around everything that's in the film, but it's still interpretive in a way to where I can see a lot of people come out of it quite perplexed and really thinking deeply and hard about what they just witnessed. And I just love the way the film went about it because it all felt incredibly appropriate and intentional in terms of what it was trying to convey about the narrative and the themes. And none of it felt like it was just intentionally trying to frustrate you and piss you off. And that's something that I really appreciated out of this film. One of the creative techniques in this film, that's both through the direction and the editing, is that it chooses to reveal fragmented imagery that reveals information throughout the film. But most especially during the ending. Because guys, the ending to this film felt like a fireworks show of quick creative editing that consisted of a bunch of fragmented imagery that felt like jumbled puzzle pieces. And I dug the hell out of it because it just felt really surreal and unsettling, and it felt like it actually built up to this big, worthy finale. Because to be honest, the build up to it was rather slow, and because to be honest, the build up to it was rather slow, and there was a good stretch of like 15 to 20 minutes where the main character is kind of getting misdirected around the place, and it felt really unnecessarily drawn out and confusing to the point where I just kind of started to lose interest in it. So naturally I was getting a little bored. So I was hoping that the ending would at least give me something for the time that I was patiently waiting for. And it really does. Like, I don't think it fully excuses that kind of long stretch where I just really wasn't all that invested. But at least, like, it really came through in the end by just having this giant showcasing of creativity that was honestly really effective in terms of horror, in terms of emotional depth, and just in terms of it being really interpretive that really makes you want to discuss this film after watching it. And I love films like this that really kind of make you scratch your head, but not too much to the point where you just completely lose interest in what it was going for, but it just has just enough to where you really just want to discuss this with your friends and figure out like if you put the pieces together properly or if they got something else out of the story. And I really think this film was able to achieve a lot in terms of atmosphere, in terms of artistic value, in terms of unsettling imagery and horror. And sure, some of it might come off a little bit dated in terms of the stylistic approach and perhaps some of the acting, which, by the way, Donald Sutherland plays the lead role in this. I've never seen him in a film where he is this young, and it was really interesting to see such a huge actor in a more of an early stage of his career. And to be honest, he was really, really great in this film. I really dug his performance. And I can see some people disagreeing with that. But for me, I just thought his performance overall was really convincing and really effective. But either way, like I said, this film achieves a lot. It offers a lot, especially a film that came out in 1973. And I'm really excited to check out other Nicolas Roeg films because I really, really dug this one. So I'm going to give Don't Look Now an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, this is a film that I'm definitely going to be buying in the next half-off Barnes & Noble Criterion sale in November because I obviously really enjoyed it, and it's definitely a film that I would want to have in my collection. But anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed what I had to say about Don't Look Now. If you really enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.